Party people in the place to be. Welcome to the Pink Buzz Love Shack, where tonight anything goes. That's right, baby. We talking all the spicy comics from all the spicy labels. Hey, Jungle Joey, what do we got on the docket tonight?
We got a good lineup of books for everyone tonight. We'll be discussing quite a range of books that tend to veer towards the more racy, erotic, nude. A lot of nudity in these books. The subject matter too is quite mature in theme. So I'll shoot off the list of books really quick. We'll be covering Unnatural from Mirka Andolfo. We'll also be covering a book that's been quite popular of late called Money Shot from Tim Selly and Sarah Beatty. We'll also be covering a couple books that Maria Lovett worked on. One is her own title is Heartbeat, and another one she collaborated on with Brian Azzarello, which is called Faithless. We'll also be covering Safe Sex by Tina Horn. And finally, but not least, we'll be covering Sunstone by... I'll let you name his name because I'm not sure I'll pronounce it properly, Johnny.
Stepan Sayek.
Sayek. Yeah, Stepan Sayek. There you go. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Did I forget any? I don't think I forgot any.
No, but also...
There we go.
Joining us on this very spicy NSFW episode, we have a very special guest, one Miss. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Elle, or Not Exactly Legit on Twitter. Too much?
Welcome
not
to
enough?
the show. No, that's plenty. That's perfect. If you want, anyway, we'll see later if Serge joins the chat perchance. I give you permission to diss him on our show.
Thank
if you want.
Yeah,
It's nice to have a platform for that, you know?
Yeah, it's always fun to burn people on a live stream.
well, if another little thing I'm going to throw out for our guest, if you do not follow Not Exactly Legit on Twitter, you're really missing out. She writes some of the best tweet reviews you can possibly check out on Twitter.
Thank you.
Very insightful, and she knows all the hot new picks, man. She is really in the know. And look who's here. I think that might be he. Is this Serge or Steve? Or what's the other cast member's name? Joey?
Lauren.
I'm new to House of Nerds.
That's a lie. I don't know.
Yeah. But man, we got all kinds of chats popping off. We got Goose. What the hell are you doing in the? Oh, you're probably at the hospital. Never mind. Yeah. All right, man. It's good to have
Please
you here,
burn
though,
me.
kid.
Tara's in the house.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Hey, Tara.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, before we get into the spicy books, we're gonna do our check-in. That's where we kind of shout out anything cool that we've read or watched or maybe even listened to this week. And Elle, you want to go ahead and start us off on the check-ins?
I did watch Malignant today. Interesting.
Was it good?
What's that?
That James Wan's new movie. It's on HBO Max and in theaters. It's it was a passion project. Clearly,
Clearly, that doesn't sound very good.
Yeah, Sergio.
Uh-oh.
Hey, what's up? Insert name, man. How's it going, bro? It's good to have you on here.
I thought there was a filter in the chat, but
Shit.
no, you know what? I would recommend watching it, especially if you have HBO. I don't know if I would go to the theaters to see it, but there's a really cool action sequence that I felt justified the length of the movie. But yeah, it was cool.
Well, how long? What's the runtime of it?
Probably too long. Probably like 40 minutes too long. To be perfectly honest, it was way too long. But there is an action sequence that's like a good, like the last not the last, because the last 5 minutes I'll pass. But like there's like a 40-minute chunk where it's just like nonstop, and it's pretty cool to see. Like it's just James Wan usually does like non-gory scares, and I think he does that well. And so for this to be as gory and as violent as it was. Like, I don't feel like it was necessarily in his wheelhouse, but I also have heard that it was a passion project. So, I mean, cool. If you have the money, why not?
Yeah,
It's
I
good
mean,
to hear him go back to horror too after he's done like all them Fast and Furious movies and stuff. I think it's been a while since he's touched the genre. So,
and I think
Yeah.
that's what happened. They were like, "Hey, these all did so well. Like, if you want to." And then I think he probably used that to his advantage to get this made too, because let me tell you, the writing is not.
Tell us what you really think, Elle.
I mean, let me tell you, I'm not gonna spoil nothing, but I honestly thought that the opening sequence was like, you know, when they open a movie and it's a false start, like, oh, it was a dream or it was like a scene in a movie or something. But no, it's the actual movie, and I was like, oh. That's interesting. We're just gonna go with this. So, and they did. They kept going, and then finally you get to that 40-minute sweet spot, and then it ends, and it's like, okay. But yeah, it was cool. It's worth the watch if you already have HBO Max. I wouldn't go out of my way to subscribe, but
if you still have it from the Snyder Cut, check it out. I guess. I mean, I don't. Yeah.
I don't know. Is Swamp Thing still on there? That James Wan did that, right? I enjoyed Swamp Thing.
Did he work on that show? That's cool. I did like that show.
I think he was the one, yeah. And they canceled that shit after one season.
which I thought it was really visually spot on. I really enjoyed the visuals, and the atmosphere in that.
Yeah, one of the better DC Universe shows, and it got canceled. That's my curse, though. Anytime I kind of like something, it gets canceled. So I'm not allowed liking anything.
Well, maybe I should tell you some shows I don't like, so you can
go and enjoy them so they get canceled. Shit. So that's you have any comics that you read this week that you recommend or anything else? Or
I read a lot of depressing stuff this week, I'm not gonna lie. May's book, man. Dead Box, depressing.
Did both of them? So
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a they didn't really bring out a lot. You know what? I don't know how to say the name of this comic. I thought it was fun. The new Marvel one, Kazar.
Okay, yeah, okay.
What is it,
yeah,
Lord of the Savage Land?
Okay, yeah.
So I got it because it's Zach Thompson. I think he writes body horror really well and biological stuff and nature. So I picked it up, and I don't know anything about this character, but I really liked it. It was fun. I thought the visuals of it really offset. Like, you're writing a book about being in the jungle, being like, it could easily visually be dark and not that bright, but I thought the visuals were really good. It was really bright. It really offset the tone of the book, so that was a fun one. I read what was it, Search for Hugh? Or
I've heard of that.
I think it's Aftershock. Is it? Probably. That one was if you like fast-paced stuff, that one was fine. I didn't really read anything bad. I finished Eve. Eve wrapped up this week. I enjoyed the ending.
Yeah, a lot of people. I saw a lot of people on Twitter kind of saying it wrapped up pretty decent.
Because it's especially when you're writing about like climate change and ecological stuff, it's real easy to make it be like super everything's bad and shit and it just go all downhill and that's the end. But I really appreciated Eve and how it ended and all of the metaphors that were in it and stuff. And there was like another one, Last Flight Out by Dark Horse, and that dropped this week. And that one is more like the opposite. Like, it's the last flight out of Earth. And this guy realizes that he spent his whole life, pushing his daughter away. But now she's not on the last arc out. So he's like risking everything to go make sure she's on the last flight out. So there's been a lot of those kind of books this year, I feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Some comments in the chat that I am also interested in. Mr. Sergio says, never take TV show recommendations from Elle. I got PTSD from her last reco. And Tara
Oh.
asks, what was the last recommendation, Sergio? I need to hear this because I love me some disturbing materials.
So it's so like it was like late one night, and I was like, "Hey, have you watched them?"
Oh,
he,
fuck. Jesus Christ. Yeah,
but so there's like I'm a Black woman. There's a lot of discourse in the Black community about the validity of Lena Waithe. So I watched it in secret because I didn't want to be outed as a Black person who watched them. So I watched it in secret, but I really liked it. I was like, okay, stop. This is actually really good. And so I did recommend it. He was the only person I recommended it to. And the only, but it was good. Like, don't say it wasn't good.
I haven't finished it yet. We stopped watching it because it made us too angry.
Yeah, like it's intense.
Man,
it's like super intense.
It is intense. I'm surprised. We're gonna smash our TV if we keep watching this show. That's how fucking intense that show is. It's so frustrating to watch. I don't know.
And so yeah, that was my stellar recommendation to Sergio for some late night relaxing TV.
Yeah, the trauma is real. Yes, it is quite real. And if you watch them, I'll agree with Serge on that.
All right.
All right. So I didn't get much reading done this week because I'm on vacation. I wasn't home last week, and my mom came down. So I've been spending a little time doing some family time and, catching up on some reading we had to do for the show. So I pretty much just done that. But we have watched a little bit of television, Pat and I. We finished up the first season of Truth Be Told, and we really enjoyed it. It's like not a true crime, but it's kind of set up like a true crime where there's a journalist who does a podcast, and she revisits a case she covered as a journalist 20 years before. And her podcast is called Reconsider, where she reassesses whether the person who was accused of these murders is actually guilty or not. And so it kind of brings up aspects of an old case and kind of taking skeletons out of closets and a bunch of twists and turns, it was really good. We really enjoyed that. We continued watching 9 Perfect Strangers, which is a little bit weird, bizarre, kind of a retreat where they drug you for therapy. So that's kind of an interesting one. And that's pretty much it. That pretty much sums up my check-in for this week.
Same. I watched 9 Perfect Strangers. The mid episodes are kind of dragging a little bit, but yeah. I do like Leanne Moriarty. She wrote Big Little Lies as well.
Okay.
I think that's on HBO. And,
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, and then Truth Be Told, I told you on Twitter, I loved it. All the actors on the show too, like it's really well done.
It's well cast, yeah.
4 episodes into like season 2 now. Kate Hudson is like the main on this one.
Yeah,
it's really good.
We just watched. I think we just watched it today. The episode probably just dropped last night. Usually on Wednesdays, I think. So we just watched the latest episode today. Yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty good. The second season has been pretty solid. The first season was excellent. Like I'd recommend it to anyone. So if you guys have Apple TV,
honestly. Yeah.
If you guys have Apple TV, go check it out. It's definitely worth checking out. So Johnny, what's your check-in this week?
Okay, well I want to start off with kind of a weird one. This one I picked up yesterday. This was on Joey's recommendation. He brought this up when we had Schlepzig on the show, and I finally got the first issue of Steph Phillips' Harley Quinn with art by Riley Rossimo, and I mostly got it to look at Riley's art because Joe made a big point of how people complained about it, and I absolutely adore this. It is beautiful. I love Riley's art, and yeah, it's a damn shame they chased him off this book because, I mean, it's definitely a neat way to take the book, and it kind of segues into. Go ahead.
I don't know if he's off it or if they're going to interchange him and another artist. Like they're going to each do like an arc and interchange them. I'm not sure, but I know there's a new artist coming on. I don't know if they're permanent or if Rossimo's just taking a break. I'm not sure yet. I'd have to check the previews. I haven't checked the DC previews from this past month, but I'm not sure if because Steph Phillips kind of talked about how she was working really well with him, so I'm not sure if he's coming back on and they're going to interchange the artist or not. But yeah.
Kind of using this to segue into something else I watched this week, and that is I finally got to check out our buddy's show, the House of Nerds. Our buddy Jungle Joe was on there as a guest host. They had a full Canadian panel, and it was really fun watching him converse with Serge, who's in the chat, and Steve. And yeah, one of my favorite parts was about the Harley Quinn comic, and Serge was being like, well, I don't know. I like it okay, but I'm not the core audience. And Steve's like, well, I don't know what you mean by that. Who is the core audience? It's just like, oh, I think he's trying to say that it's written for little girls. Oh, man. I love just Joe's bluntness, man. That killed me so much. Great episode.
Hey.
Great show. I really like their format. I really like the copper drop thing that they do. We might have to steal that and make our own version of it or something in sometime in the future. It's pretty clever. I'm kidding. I'm not going to steal it, but we'll see. Jungle Joey, it is a good one. I prefer Bunghole Joey though. It kind of fits him a little better once you get to know him. I got some Kickstarters in this week. I got Black Blizzard by Aaron Reese. This is a really kind of cool, fun book. It kind of reminds me of a David Ayer movie, and it's kind of like these black people that are into black magic. Weapon specialists and cops have to sneak into a city under siege during a snowstorm to investigate these occult murders when this kind of really kind of crazy monster shit starts happening. Really, really badass, really fun comic. It's actually really cheap too, so I definitely recommend everybody check it out. And then I got one called Bitey. It's issue 3 by Sean Evans, and it's just a really great zombie comic. It kind of reminds me of like what Jeff Lemire would have did if he ever did like a zombie comic, but a little funnier than I think Jeff would take it. But yeah, that's pretty much my check-in. And
yeah, Lemire doesn't really do comedy, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if.
yeah.
Well, wait till you read May's book. I'm just kidding. That
Fulci is. I just gotta say this. Fulci isn't here, but she delivered that line exactly the way Matt would have.
Straight up. Just wait till you read that.
So she's filling in perfectly for Matt anyway so far.
No, I was like legit crying when I was reading that. But you know what? Family Tree is like one of my all-time favorite. I think he writes family narrative, like the dynamics in family so fucking well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Plus, my buddy Phil Hester draws that, and yeah, Phil's been one of my favorites for a long time. But how about we jump into these books? I'll start us off with one of my favorites of the past few years. This is, of course, Heartbeat by Maria Lovett. And it is story art by Maria Lovett. It is lettered by Andworld Design and translated by Andrea Rosenberg. And for me, this book is just a look at an artist that I really appreciate and love, just going for broke and showing her vision of what she wants to do with the rest of her life to the world. And it's glorious. This thing is nearly Shakespearean. It's Italian giallo, and there's even a nice little amount of anime thrown into it. And I don't even know where to begin. This book is about a girl named Ava, and she's kind of a poor girl in this like rich school full of uniform school, like boarding school, I guess they call it. And her mom basically cleans houses so she can go there, and she's tortured by everybody else. The people that she lives with, the boy's kind of nice to her, but the sister tortures her basically. But one day the sister just gets murdered, and nobody really knows what's going on. And there's a strange new boy in town. His name is Donatane, or
Donatian. You gotta
Donatian. Donatian, yeah. And he is he's a bad boy, you know what I mean? He's just really something off about him, and Ava's a little took by him. And at the same time, she's kind of realizing that she's tired of taking shit. And we basically see this girl's journey, that you think that she's a damsel in distress and you think that she needs to be saved. And then you find out that, man, she doesn't want to be. she wants to drink blood, and she's going to, and it just gets savage. And one of my favorite things is the way Maria utilizes eroticism as violence in this story. It's very masterfully done, and I guess it could be off-putting for some people, but if you're used to the European style of things, I think that she just shows what a master of the form she is. Even at this early part of her career, she just she gets it like other people don't. She is just completely incredible. How do you guys feel about this one?
Oh, Heartbeat is one of my favorite Maria Lovett stories. You know, and to get a little bit more into the story, you know, Donatian, he you know, that's God's gift. That's what that means. And then you have Eva, so it's kind of like God's gift and Eve, and then the joining of the two, because she's often depicted, you know, under like kind of like I saw it as like a fertility goddess, like when she's in her head, like she's always like romanticizing her role in the life of Donatian. Like, what is she to God's gift? Not what her role is in the world, but who is she to somebody else? And I think she did that often throughout the story. It's never really about her. It's about what her role is in somebody else's life. So I don't think, even at the end, like, I don't think she ever fully realized her own true power, because everything she did was for somebody else. Going to school was, you know, for her mom. You know, playing nice was for Mac. Even when she was being blackmailed, like everything she did was not for herself.
I hear what you're saying, but she's the one that made it even possible for Donatian to be able to get away with his grand scheme. I think that at the end she does realize that she is the one that's wearing the pants in that relationship. That's at least the at the end, at the very end, she feels that way, is how I took it. But you could be right. One of my favorite things, though, is, and you kind of brought this up, is the almost biblical allegory type stuff. How they, she envisions them as almost like stained glass windows, and it's just really beautifully rendered by Miss Lovett. Just some great imagery in this book, and also some really, really kind of scary gore, like when she fantasizes about the dead sister, like the way she visualizes that. Just but it's just so beautiful to look at the same time. You're looking at this grotesque piece of art, and it's glorious at the same time. I can't put into words just how cool that is for me to have an artist like that can make a book like this.
That's something she does well.
Yeah.
Body fluids and erotica.
Yeah, she loves the hand down the front of the panties shot. That's I think that's her go-to. Because I've only read a few books from her, and she's used that a couple times on 2 or 3 occasions. Heartbeat, is this a complete story, or is there more to come?
I think it's done. I don't think.
You think
I
it's
don't
done?
see it coming back.
That's too bad, because I felt like it could have used some more development, because there is so much potential there, and I feel like it could have used more than 5 issues to really dig into these characters a little more.
She might have more. I didn't know that Faithless was going to have sequels. I thought that was finished with its first book. So
yeah, because I mean, I really dug this, but I find she goes off onto that, like I had mentioned during the week when we discussed it a little bit. She goes off on these little bit of these surreal, like dreamscape scenes and stuff where you know, and so you don't get the story. You get off on this, like, these tangents of surrealism, and then it comes back to like normal where the plot continues. And I felt like, you know, I could have used another 5 issues of that and really dug into the characters a little more, understand their motivations a little more. But I mean, I love the book. The art is great. I thought the story was pretty solid. I enjoyed it, and I definitely would love more of that.
I think you're right. I think it kind of feels like you're thrown into the story, which in storytelling is what you're supposed to do. Come in late, leave as soon as you can. But I feel like maybe she came in too late a little bit, because it's kind of like, does he have like a blood fetish, or is he like, did she kill herself? Because you remember in the second book there's I don't know if you read it, like I don't know how you read it, but I have the singles, and in the second issue there's a suicide prevention hotline thing in the beginning. Okay. So I'm like, did she kill herself and he just agreed to be there, like that was his kink or something? Okay. So it was I was kind of a little bit confused by that. Like there could have been a little bit more definition in those areas, but I think poetically it was beautiful.
I think it's ambiguous on purpose to like kind of leave it open to interpretation for the reader to decide. But I mean, I liked the way this story was going. I liked where it was going, and I just felt like maybe it got a little rushed, you know, like the whole after the body's found, like after she sees him, I felt like that escalated really quick, and they didn't develop any of that story as much as I would have liked. Like that whole aspect was starting to get really interesting and weird, and I could have used a lot more of that.
Yeah. Even with her mom, like you see all the pills, the Prozac, the Ambien in front, and it was like I could have used some more backstory even with that. Like, how did she come to know the parents? How did she come to work for them? She can afford her prescriptions, and it's like, what is she like? And then I did notice like something I didn't notice the first time I read it was like, oh, why is your shirt that color? And then I realized the second read that she poured dye on her. Like and then I was like, oh, well, that was kind of fucked up. What's her name? The one who was like fantasizing about her secretly.
Yes, that's why
Amber.
She bullies her. Yeah.
No, Amber was a sister. The other one,
Yeah, but that whole scenario too is, I was like, oh, I like that little twist.
Yeah,
like, I didn't expect that. That was a good little twist. I love that.
But it also felt incomplete.
It did. That's
like
why. Yeah.
Well, that's the stuff that I was saying that reminded me of Italian horror films. That's kind of how the way that they're structured and paced, and the character development you get. I think that Maria might have grew up on them just because of how this and Heartbeat and Faithless and a couple other books of hers that I've read go. I mean, I think that she is very much inspired by Giallo, so she kind of does her characters in the style the films do, and it kind of really matches up to that in my how I see it.
Because Arrow Psych, I think it just wrapped up, but that was actually her very first comic book.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then Ablaze got the rights to it, and then they distributed it. So it's really interesting when you see her progress, because I remember, because I didn't know that going into it, so I was like, this feels almost elementary to Heartbeat, like regressive almost. But then when I read that, I was like, oh wow, like this has always been your style. You've just evolved.
Just gotten better and better. Yeah,
for sure.
She's a master. One of my other favorite things is when you find out that the White Knight kid wanted to bang his own sister really bad.
Mac,
there was like really nobody redeemable in this book, and that's another thing that I thought I really liked about it. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh man, that's messed up. Everybody gets so jacked up in this book, but like they kind of deserve it. You know what I mean?
Did they really establish that, or did they just insinuate?
Yeah, I felt like it was pretty clear.
Yeah, I think they made it pretty just as much as they made anything else clear in the book. Yeah, that dude wanted to bang his sister.
And it's also funny that they're the only two characters that have pretty, white bread names like Amber and Mac. Everybody else has like these real, like deep metaphorical names, and Amber and Mac, they're incestual.
That's right. They got the redneck names. Amber and Mac.
Yeah.
Look at this little bastard. What are you doing here? Get your ass to work, boy.
He's actually, Mel's bringing back her official podcast. They recorded, man.
Oh, did
Monday.
They?
Yeah, it's I guess it's going to be put up Monday. And guess who's on?
Our buddy Matois.
Yes, it's an Eminem episode, baby.
Oh man. Oh, okay. Anybody got any last words about heartbeat before we kind of move on, because I think we kind of covered enough of this to get people appetized, but I really want as many people as possible to check this out and read it. I think it's a horror classic, and if you haven't checked it out, you're missing out.
Especially read in full. Excellent. I would look in hindsight, I could see where I was a little frustrated reading it month to month because it flows better as a trade.
Yeah, it's a graphic novel. They just put it out serialized.
And that last issue, number 5, like when you hold them in your hands, it's like 5 times bigger than all the other. Like, oh, y'all trying to hurry up and wrap this up.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. People should pick it up and buy it. Lovett is great. Her art is awesome. Her storytelling is not for everyone, but I dig it, man. She's weird in the best kind of ways.
Man, these guys are just going crazy in the chat. And Joe, it's your turn, man. Which book you want to go with first?
Let's keep in the vibe of going with some Lovetts, man. I'm feeling the love. So we'll go with Faithless. So Faithless is, let's see, I got it here. It's a Boom book. I don't know what date it was released on, but it's written by Brian Azzarello, drawn by Maria Lovett, and letters are done by World Design. And let me tell you, this is one of my favorites of all the books we're covering. This story is something else. I went in cold, like knowing very little. I just knew there was a lot of erotic stuff in this book, and let me tell you, it should come with a big ass warning on the front because there's going to be some graphic scenes in it galore. This book does not hold back, which really surprised me from a Boom book. I have to hand it to Boom, give them props, because putting this book out is really surprised me. Like it surprised me, like from start to finish. In the first trade, the first volume was, for me, it's almost a perfect comic for me. Like I could not stop. Like I was reading this late at night. I think I started at midnight and I stayed up. I read it all the way through. I didn't stop. I had to read the whole first volume, and I started the second volume a little bit too. That's how good it was. Like I highly recommend this to anyone. So basically, the story of this is you have a young artist who is into magic, and she meets this other girl randomly at a cafe, and come to find out she's a muse and to another really famous mega artist, and they develop this relationship. Fucking Fulci, man.
Hey, I'm the fan of the popsicle scene. Joey likes the 3 guys scene. All right.
Yeah, that was something, man. That's where I was like, man, I'm sold on this book. Anyway, so they begin this relationship, and come to find out, she's a muse to this artist, and the artist ends up being the father. And it's never made extremely clear in the beginning, but it's insinuated that it's the devil. So, and she has these torrid affairs with the father and the daughter. And anyway, it's a great book, great read. And there's a lot of graphic scenes, and one in particular, the one that Johnny's referring to, the one that really blew me away was the when the two first meet, they're going off, and she knows magic, and she has a gift to manipulate people. And there's these 3 douchebag dudes that start hitting on them, and they grab them, and she says, let go. And then she starts influence them and manipulating them to have a 3-way right there on the street. And let me tell you, the scenes in this are graphic, and it just blew me away. I was reading this and I'm like, I can't believe this is happening in a Boom book of all things. It just blew my fucking mind. It just blew me away.
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
It blew you away. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Because there was a scene where someone blew something, all right, all over someone's face, right in the eye.
Yeah, anyway, that was so Boom. Thank you.
Yeah, Boom. Yeah, that's it. Boom. Yeah. So so there's some really graphic scenes, and they don't hold back. There's a lot of pedingers in this one. A lot of nudity. Pretty graphic too. Like Elle said, Maria loves to draw fluids and She doesn't hold back in this one. It's definitely a treat to read. I highly recommend it to anyone, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's really graphic. So if you don't dig that kind of thing, if you don't like nudity, it's not gratuitous. It fits the story, so it's definitely there. But it can be a little jarring at times.
Yeah,
because there are some supernatural elements kind of tied into the eroticism. Kind of similar to Heartbeat too. She likes that weird uneasiness mixed in with the eroticism. Like, it's something she likes to play with. So, and it's definitely present in this one big time.
She likes to use it as the violence in her horror, which is a really neat way, because even when the kills happen, they happen while Faith and Poppy are, having fun time. Like the first friend, she's looking at the video and the wolf comes through her phone and eats her, which I absolutely love that panel.
That was so well done. Yes, that was excellent. This is what I mean. Like, I don't think there's anything in this book that didn't belong there. Like, it was so perfectly laid out. The story, the pacing, like, I can't say anything bad about it. Like that scene where, like you said, with the phone and like it just it's done well. It's done so well.
Just the wolf's muzzle coming out of the screen, and that's it cuts from there, and then you find out what happened later, and then what the friend's death was a little more disturbing to me, because you find out that like Lewis Thorne did it himself, and you're just kind of like, what was involved in that death? You're just kind of like, you're a trooper, guy. You really are. You should be one of the guys in Money Shot, because you're down to. But another thing about the devil guy, Lewis, I really think that he is also based off of Paul Pope. Like, she draws him to look just like him, and he did the covers for the book. So I wonder if she kind of threw him in there as kind of, because he's kind of known as a wild man of comics a little bit. So I would like to ask her about that at some point. If I ever do get to speak to her, that would be.
And doesn't he design clothes and stuff as well? So he's used to like this whole scene.
Well, yeah, he's also involved in the fine art scene in New York as well. You know, that he kind of like flows through all of that. So yeah.
So it would fit. It would fit.
I think one of the big differences between this and the other ones are, this was written by Brian Azzarello. So I feel, unlike some of Maria Lovett's other work, this has a very clear narrative path, whereas some of her own work is more up for interpretation, up for, how
subjective.
You see it. It's more poetic. And this is very much, I mean, you could take it how you want, but no, this is this person. This is, this person, and this is the path that we're going down. And I really appreciated that, to see that she could just dedicate all of her creative prowess to the pictures and let somebody else tell the story, because I think her art is so powerful that like it wouldn't have worked with any other artist. Like her work is so erotic in itself that like she doesn't really have to say anything.
I love the way she draws a blushing girl.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
That one drawing when she's where Faith is intimate with Lewis and the flames. That's like one of my all-time favorite panels. Like, I fucking love that shit.
With the skeleton birds and the crucifix.
Listen, so good. She's so good. And then even the grotesque stuff is not grotesque when she does it, because she has such like a hand at it that it still feels delicate. Like with like the menstrual pool, even with all of that stuff, like it didn't ever feel gross. Well, I mean, I guess it could feel gross. I'm not everybody, but it never felt like. The only time that was gross was that second death in the first volume, and you know what I'm talking about. That kind of was like, ugh. But
the Money Shot in Joey's favorite scene kind of grossed me out a little bit, man.
Oh, okay, maybe that was I mean, consent is everything, and I don't know. That's like a tricky situation too. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Does she really have influence, or was she like destined to run it? Like, or did they pick her? You know what I mean? That was
Well,
something else I
yeah.
kind of thought about.
the neatest thing
Yeah.
I liked about it too is that it's an allegory for the idea of moving up, becoming a bigger known name, leaving
Mhm.
those old friends behind, becoming joining this big group where you're riding around with this old pervert and his horny daughter. Like even if she's not magic and they're not the devil, like
Mhm.
you can see what the story was trying to tell you, even if you do take it as an abstract. But the way that her and Az really go at it, it's very Clive Barker-esque. It kind of reminds
Mhm.
me of Hellraiser in a way, which I thought was really fun. Or actually, the novel it's based off of, Hellbound Heart. Like I really thought that they were probably inspired by that a touch, which I thought was really cool. So I love that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think they made a great team.
Yeah,
The
I
two
would.
of them together.
If they did
It was
other stuff, I
amazing.
would
Yeah.
absolutely.
Instant pull right there. If they did another project together, I wouldn't even hesitate. I wouldn't even. You just tell me they're doing a project. Don't even have to tell me the title or anything. I'll be like, just put it on my pull. I
Mhm.
don't care what the story is. I'll buy it.
For those
Well,
splash scenes, right?
Yeah, gotta love those money shots, man. So is that going to be a segue?
Is that-
I don't know, like one of the first things I learned about like real applications of like the way people that practice magic in real life do it.
Oh, I
Like
thought you were gonna say money shots.
it's
I
this.
was like,
Well, if you ever listen to Grant Morrison talk about like his use of sigil magic and what he does, and like he literally admits that this is how he met his wife and gets things in life, is he draws like pretty little pictures and then tugs his tuna really hard thinking about it, and like that's sigil magic, and that's how he. So like to find out that like magic is a really horny thing, so I think that they were really smart to play it up the way that like at least you
Well,
practicers in
Oh, no.
real life
good timing
present
because Sergio's back. So Sergio, what he's saying is, if you just rub a tug on your pod, then more people will listen.
Well, draw a picture first too.
Oh,
It's
draw a
neat-
picture.
you
Yeah,
gotta
draw a
picture
little house
that's
of nerds.
meaningful. Yeah.
but I mean, this book opens with a masturbation scene, so
yeah.
that just
But not to
that
completion. So
it sets the tone. It sets the tone for the book right there.
Yes, the frustration because she doesn't get to finish.
No, yeah.
Yeah, this book is incredible. The second arc is great. They're making it a trilogy, and
Mhm.
it seems that well, there's a lot of quotes from the Divine Comedy in the two arcs so far. So I
Mhm.
wonder if it's kind of supposed to be kind of a retelling of that in a more Hollywood sense, but I'm not really getting that. But
Well,
if
they
they
say
are,
it
that'd
at
be
the
cool too.
beginning of each issue. It says based on the Divine Comedy. So I assume
Okay.
that's what they were going for. Yeah.
Well, let's just say
Whatever
that
it is, it's working.
if they started with Inferno, it seemed like a really nice Inferno that I wouldn't mind being a part of, like a lot better than the one that Dante wrote. Like
Well,
a lot more fun.
just depending on the scene.
Yeah.
Well, just that the first scene where she hooks up with I don't remember what the daughter's name is.
Poppy,
yeah, and then she's like going down on her, and then you see she's like this worm creature or something.
Mhm.
Like it definitely sets a mood and a tone that's like that. I think that's the end of the first book, right? It ends on that
Mhm.
panel.
Mhm.
So you're like, I was like, what the fuck? I'm like,
Right, I was itchy.
chapter 2, come on, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. What the fuck's going on here? I'm like, give me chapter 2 right now. Like it was perfect, just the pacing, just to keep you going. Like they just give you just that perfect hook at the end, leave you on that perfect cliffhanger to be like, I need to read the other one right now. And I could see how reading it month to month, you'd be like, it'd be torture. Like, because you want to know.
Oh, for sure.
You want to know right away what's going on. Like it's that well paced and that well written, and the way Maria the way she just lays it out, like the storyboarding of the story, like the way her storytelling through the visuals are perfect as well. Like, I mean, I can't give this book enough praise.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like one of my favorite Boom. You know what? Not even just Boom. Like it's like you said, and volume 2 kind of steers away from the simplicity that was the first volume.
Yeah, that
But
first volume was perfect.
even with like the international vibes, like that ghost scene and all that other stuff, I was like, wait a minute. The pool scene, I was like, okay. But it's like for sure, like now when 3 drops, I'll be pulling it, like all the covers. Give me everything. I'm down.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So Johnny, you
Gonna
can
zip
take the
right
next
along.
one? Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump us over to Safe Sex. This is an image
Oh.
book. It is written and created by Miss Tina Horn. It is drawn and colored by Michael Downing. Later, it is colored by Jen Hickman and then drawn by Jen Hickman as well. Covers by Tula Lotte, and the covers are beautiful for this. Lettered by Steve Wands. Edited and designed by Lauren McDubin. And special thanks to Amadeo Toretto. And Safe Sex is in a neat way to put it, it's kind of like the really, really raunchy hardcore version of The Handmaiden's Tale in a way.
Absolutely.
Basically, the uber conservatives have taken over and everything's just watered down. And if you're kinky at all, you get in trouble. And basically, it starts out where there was once these kind of earlier on during the revolution, there was these wild places where everybody would just get together. And yeah, the first couple pages of the first issue are just fun. And but you kind of there's a couple and you kind of follow them around, and they try to play as vanilla as possible while becoming these kind of kinky revolutionaries, and it just kind of builds from that. And as a kid, as a punk growing up, reading my Kurt Vonnegut and my Philip K. Dick books, I always thought this kind of future was far off. But after seeing like the shit that passed in Texas, like last week, and what we're looking at, like these books are relevant. This shit could be our lives in a year or two. So, as terrifying as I find this book, I also kind of see it as like something that's still trying to show you hope that like, yo, if this does happen, a lot more people are going to be on your side than you think will be. And I really appreciate that. Plus, I love that it's one of Jen Hickman's biggest books, and I absolutely adore her art. So I'm really glad she finally got to do a little image work. Not her best work, but yeah. And Safe Sex, man. Joey, how do you feel about this one?
I actually really enjoyed this book.
Yeah,
I
badass,
love
right?
this. Yeah, the story's great, and at the end, Tina writes a little, a little blurb, and I always read these things at the end. And what's cool is she put together a playlist for every page of every issue. So if you go on Spotify, I think if you go under her Spotify, you can find the playlist for all the books, and she picked a tune for each page of every issue, which is pretty goddamn cool. I think she says it's a 154 song playlist that can accompany this series if you read it. So you can go and like pick a song for each page, read it, listen along, which is pretty damn cool. And another thing, while reading the back, what I didn't realize is this was originally supposed to be a Vertigo book. This started at DC. Yeah, this started at DC, and this was like, I think, near the end of Vertigo, so they never got to release it through Vertigo. So I think she had to get lawyers to get the rights back for the book and everything, and then eventually released it with Image, from what I understood from reading the back, which is really goddamn cool.
I don't think she'd need lawyers. Most Vertigo stuff, unless it's based off of Sandman or something, is creator owned, so like they can take it wherever they want to. I think they'd have to pay. She had to pay a little bit for it, but it was her creation, so like, but that's good.
Yeah. And Tina Horn, she's a kink writer. She's super badass. Like she holds kink workshops and everything. And it was really like a moment in like comics history for me when this dropped, because they did a partnership, and you could see it in some of the back pages of the issues with Jock the Stripper, and like they had merch. They had like Dirty Mind hoodies and like beanies and all. And then when I tell you, I went crazy. I bought all that shit, like everything. And so like I'll be wearing my Dirty Mind hoodie and I don't even be thinking about it. And I'm like, I hope nobody's standing behind me in line reading the back of my hoodie because but it was, I think, safe sex to me because like I think where Maria Lovett it draws erotic, this was very much straightforward sexual. And the storyline, like, you know, trying to break people out of there, even some of the scenes, like super intense. I totally get like the Gilead vibes, like it's legit. Like, and there was a Kickstarter a few months ago for volume 2. I think they're not releasing them individually, but I also know you can just you can pre-order volume 2 right now. You don't have to have back the Kickstarter, but we got a bunch of perks for backing that. And so I was really excited to see that it was going to be continued on because I thought that it wasn't going to. I didn't think that we would see any more from this. Because
this is a pretty good trade. Like volume 1 is 7 issues. It's a pretty hefty trade. Yeah. And sure. This was Elle's rec for the show. She recommended this. When we sat down, we said, "You want to add any books to the reading list?" She's like, "Safe sex, man. Safe sex got to be on there." So we're like, "Sold. We'll read that. We'll read that for sure." And I don't regret it. It was a great read.
Yeah, I think because I think that it's like I think it's a happy medium between erotica and like traditional comic book telling, like action, adventure, and it blends those two so well. Like, because if you take out like all of the like extra kink, it really is just like action adventure story.
Yeah.
And so I think it really blended those two worlds like beautifully. And you know, I'm a big fan. Like I said, I love Tina Horn, so this comic really did something for me. So not sexually, like I'm cool, but yeah, regularly. Readingly.
I think that this book should have the name Sex Criminals. I think it fits this book a lot better than it does the Mad Fraction comic because, like, they were
the title itself. You mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Either that or Sex Terrorists. That would have fit this one pretty well too, I guess. Like,
yeah, because sex criminals they're more sex deviants, in my opinion, but.
Yeah, they were like more like sex bandits or something in that. And whereas like these ones, they're actually like fighting the man.
There's
like
stakes, big stakes. Yeah, it definitely, like you say, it plays on a familiar story of an organization or government trying to repress a certain part of the population or its citizens, and them trying to fight back for their rights and stuff. But it's set in a tone where they just happen to be a group of people that are into kink and all this stuff, right? Like what's it? Minds? What's the place called?
The Dirty Mind.
Dirty Mind, yeah. Like I love that. That's like it's a haven for all these people where they can just go and be themselves without worrying about being judged, or it's like a safe sanctuary for them. And they're not hurting anyone because it's all people. They're not like
it's all consensual.
It's all consensual. It's all people that want to be there, and like the church just can't handle that. And it's kind of like a church-led. It's weird how they mixed in feminism with the church, and like you can't have kink. It was like a weird blend of like this weird kind of fascist dictatorship kind of thing. I don't know. It was kind of weird how they mixed the feminism in with religion. I don't know. I just found that I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of. I just found that bizarre.
I think she was pointing out that extremes on both the left and the right are very fascist. So yeah, I think that she was saying that like the people on this side are just as all the way on that side are just as bad as the guys all the way on that side. And I think that I give her credit for taking that stance because a lot of people, they don't add that in when they're making a story like this.
And it's
actually Tara.
For sure.
Hey Tara, Prince is the first song on the playlist. So yes, Prince is on the playlist.
Oh, you goddamn well better believe. You can't have a kinky ass playlist without Prince on there. Come on.
Wait. Man. Dirty Mind, the name of the club.
Yeah,
it's a Prince song. It's the first song on the playlist. So yes, it is on the playlist. Yeah.
I think what I really liked about it too was, so like, I'm biracial, I'm half black, half white, and I really appreciated how Tina wasn't afraid to like, because a lot of the stuff in the government was like white femininity, like white feminist, stuff that I don't necessarily agree with. And so I like that she confronted that head on with everything else. And also, I thought the cast was very diverse, which I also appreciated. And even like not just gender or race, but like even like sexuality wise, like it was refreshing to see something that didn't feel like you had to be anything to be into it.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Felt that too. Yeah, really strong book. I'm really happy you brought it up because I wanted to get it when it came out, but like I missed so many books because there's so much I want to buy every month, and I can only and I kind of, this one fell through the cracks until you're like, hey, let's read that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that book with the Tula Latte covers, hell yeah, and
Love her.
yeah,
And you know what? This was one of the books that got me back into like collecting, because I had fell off for a long time. And this and a couple other stories, but this one specifically in Money Shot, I'm not gonna lie, it was Money Shot in this that got me back into collecting. And I was like, oh, y'all releasing this kind of stuff now? Cool.
Straight up.
Yeah. See, I wasn't a big reader of this kind of genre of comic, but man, after reading all these books, like I didn't dislike it, but it wasn't something I gravitated to. And I think now when I see these books, I might start throwing a few on here and there, a little more on my pull, because we didn't have one bad book amongst the gang of books we have here. So yeah,
Tula been killing it since Supreme Blue Rose, man. That's when I first saw her, and it's been love, man. Anytime I see her art, I buy it, man. So good. But yeah, Joey, it's on you. What you want to do?
So what we could cover a more popular book that's gotten a lot of attention, and a creator that's gotten a lot of attention. So we'll go with Unnatural. America's been on a bit of a hot streak of late. A lot of people are talking about her. She has a book out right now called Sweet Paprika, which is also supposedly quite racy, quite steamy. And this book got a lot of hype, saying it was pretty erotic, and basically you got like the covers, man. It's just steamy pics of a pig and a wolf, man, getting all grabby with each other.
Sergio loves that, I've heard.
Yeah. It's that Tumblr hot, you know what I mean? It's that Tumblr.
Yeah, that furry hot stuff, that Canadian furry.
That furry.
I heard that's a thing, maybe. No? Certain regions.
I found out how furries like wear their tails just like this year. So
where do they wear it? I'm not familiar.
They use butt plugs. And
I'm just kidding.
Tail is attached to the butt plug. Yeah, that's how furries wear their tails, man.
Not all of them. There's some people
that are just. Why do you know so much?
I'm not well educated. I don't know. I'm not well educated. I saw a thing where furries had butt plugs, so I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. It works."
There are non-erotic furries. There are people that are just into the dressing up and the anthropomorphic animal side of it.
Okay. All right. So back to America's book, Unnatural.
Well, there's kids that do it and stuff. I'm pretty sure they don't have butt plugs.
I mean, really? It's 2021.
I thought that was kind of like in the same category as bronies,
You can't believe everything Fred tells you, Joe. Like Fred, he knows a lot, and I know he's older than us, but I mean,
well, I'm the same age as Fred, actually, so we're the same age.
He's a lot older. We're the same age.
Yeah, I'm probably. Actually, speaking of age, I'd just like to say happy birthday to Johnny, because it was his birthday yesterday, actually.
Happy birthday.
So, happy birthday. I'm not going to tell your age because I don't know if you dislike that kind of thing. I'll just say...
you never say a lady's age, so don't say mine. God damn it.
Now I'm curious.
I just turned 40. I'm over the hill.
Okay, there you go.
Really? Okay.
His big 440, man. That's a big birthday.
That's still 20 years away for me personally, so...
Damn, you
No, I'm
younger
just
than
kidding.
Goose.
I'm 32. I'm 32.
So where do we keep finding these children at, Joe? Damn.
They're not children, man. We're just old, fuck.
We're gonna get Amber
You're like,
alerted.
now the content feels gross. Huh? She's 12.
She's 12. Cut the feed. Cut the feed. All right. So
thanks, Serge. Appreciate it, bro.
I think this is where you say, how did we get here?
Yeah,
You're talking about butt plugs.
Yeah, Joe.
How did we get here?
Something about
All right. So back to Unnatural. All right. So Mirka Andolfo does the writing, art, and colors with color assistance by Guanuka Papi. The lettering and production is done by Fabio Amelia. And that pretty much sums it up. The translation from Italian is Arancia Studios. So there you go. This is an image book. It's Mirka's first North American release. She was part of there's an image panel that they invite her on to help her sell this book so this is her first big ever North American release, and I guess it went gangbusters because she's doing all kinds of stuff now released here in North America. So basically this story follows a pig, which I didn't take notes, which is very bad of me.
Leslie,
who follows a lineage or bloodline of these ancient people, and in this society, species can't mix, or it's against the law, and it's shunned upon. And there's a purist society that wants to eradicate any interspecies relationships. And so the story from here follows Leslie, who is a descendant of. It's got a weird kind of religious backstory to it, where there's a wolf and a pig, and these are their ancestors, and there's a tie, and it gets a little complicated a little bit at times, where you're like, what's going on? But I mean, the gist of it is people love this because Mirka's art was pretty good, and she does a great job at drawing voluptuous pig ladies.
Sure does.
The little mouse roommate's hot too, man. Like,
yeah, she's a little skinny thing though. So yeah, if you're into little skinny mice, then I guess
Leslie that first uniform.
Her
Leslie.
restaurant one,
yes,
where she works at the restaurant. Yeah,
I said, what
bursting. Bursting from everywhere.
And her manager said, just lose some weight. Not like, oh, your whole nipples are out. No, just go lose some weight real fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so it follows Leslie, and there's a mysterious wolf creature that follows her around, and it's because there's two groups, the ones who don't want interspecies, and there's another group that just wants everyone to live free. And they're to stop this repression of interspecies. So they find out that she's a descendant of Bess, who was part with who's the wolf? What's the wolf's the old wolf's name?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But anyway, he ends up kind of possessing Leslie. Like there's a battle within her, so she's fighting against him. And he's trying to be reborn into the world to dominate and rule the world. So then Leslie is forced to try to reincarnate Bess to try to defeat the wolf. And anyway, and the wolf is pretty grabby and I'd say a little inappropriate at times, but calls her his bride, and that's pretty much how it goes. And everything works out great in the end. That was a horrible synopsis for the book, but anyway.
Yeah, I would put it like this: it's kind of like Zootopia if you mix it with Heartbeat and a little bit of safe sex. Like,
yeah, because the book covers all kind. It goes off in a bunch of different directions. So it even has they go to the theme park, which kind of turns into Jurassic Parky kind of Indiana Jones part in it, and and Leslie even dresses a little like safari like in the when they take off on their little adventures. So I mean, it's definitely got a lot of action. It's not just like a racy little furry kind of getting it on type book. It definitely has a bunch of action. Beautiful book, well drawn. The art is really good, and it's a fun read. It's not as racy or kinky as a lot of people made it out to be, because I thought this was going to have a lot more eroticism in it, and I found it really didn't have much. It's got a little bit of like hand on the bum, you know, stuff like that, but they don't really commit and go, you know, full
furry.
Yeah, they don't go full furry. They kind of kept it. They I'd say this. I wouldn't even say this is an R-rated. You know, like I'd say it's barely R-rated for an erotic book, which a lot of people categorize it as a.
It's a racy book about accepting yourself and being okay with your shape and the type of person you are, whether you're comfortable with it or not. Like learn to be, because like you could be a horny pig girl. You know what I mean? Like
you're right. I'm gonna put that in my bio. you could be a horny pig girl.
But I find the first volume they touched on it a little more. But then when she becomes kind of the internal struggle when the wolf kind of possesses her, you lose it all. But that first volume did have a lot more erotic tones to it. And then volume 2 and 3 you almost lose most of it. Like you get little hints here and there, but it didn't have half as much. The first one,
she was still into it. She was fascinated by him. She hadn't met him yet, so like that was the big hang up.
So if you have a hang up with it and you don't want to read it because you think it's just like kinky stuff, don't worry. After the first volume, there's barely any more left in it. Like it definitely gets more adventure action oriented. So yeah.
I think Mirka, though, in the same vein as Maria, like I feel like her art is just overtly erotic, and sometimes that could be misleading to the plot. I think, have you guys read Mercy? I think her work in Mercy is it's so pretty. First of all, like no matter what's happening, it's gorgeous, and I'm just like, anything could happen. I don't care. I'm in. But I think it was just unnatural, it being animals. I was like, I don't want to be into this. So it's like,
I don't want to put butt plugs with tails on.
Right. Now, like, you know, steampunk vibes. Okay, I can get into that. But butt plugs, I'm cool. Furry pigtails, I'm cool. I'm not really. And then even Sweet Paprika, like, have you guys read the first couple issues? It's
I haven't cracked it open yet.
They're demons and stuff, but it's just super horny business people. And so it's like a soap opera. They just happen to be demons. And I felt like Sweet Paprika to me is so fun. And I feel like she's really in her lane with this. Like it's fun. It's not too dark. There are dark things that are happening, but she has a really good way of like balancing the dark with the funny. And she does it really well. Like Sweet Paprika, like it looks corny. I'm not gonna lie, it does look like, okay, I'm not gonna read that. Like to the average comic reader, like not to say that there is an average comic reader. I'm not trying to, you know, but I am. But also like Sweet Paprika is like, it's really fun. Like it's just a really fun story. Like it's not too deep. It's really fun. It's super horny. Business.
That's what I heard. Demons. I heard it's quite horny. That's what I've heard. If we come back.
Super
she
horny.
Definitely goes. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. What about? I passed on Unsacred. Was that it?
I haven't read that one. That's one I haven't checked out.
I didn't get that on my poll. I passed on that one. I was kind of reluctant, but Sweet Paprika, I put that on my poll right away.
Yeah.
I read about it a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll give that one a go. Especially after reading Mercy, I was like, okay.
And that second printing of the first issue cover, listen, I was like, give me 7 of them. Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, I have the dirty cover for issue 2. So
look, Sergio's my plug, and I tell him, give me all of the black bags. I don't care what book it is.
They're not that racy, actually. The one I got anyway.
Oh,
for issue 2.
No.
It isn't that bad at all.
It's not. And you would think like, oh, you can go however far you want. Nobody's gonna see it.
There is the one that wasn't a black bag where the nose is coming up from the crotch. And I thought that was more dirty.
That's the second printing of number 1. That's my favorite cover so far.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's an awesome cover. And I thought that was way more dirty than the black bag for issue 2.
I saw somebody say, make it a scratch and sniff.
That's good. I like that. But I mean, this is fun to read if you like America. This is her first North American release. So if you're into her and you haven't read this, it's kind of nice just to read it for that reason alone, just to see how she broke into with Image in North America. So yeah,
it's just good to have all this European greatness finally breaking through in the US, man. Because like they have been putting out good comics since the 60s, probably before then, but that's when my earliest books of theirs that I've read, and I've always been impressed. And they've always been able to understand sexuality in a way that a lot of Westerners never did. A lot of horny books beforehand that would come out in America were just smut. These books that we're talking about, they're actually hot. They're actually well written. They actually, some of them are even kind of scary in parts. So some of them are really cute and heart touching. So yeah, I mean, like, and that's all from the European influence. People like Mirka and Maria Lovett and Milo Manara and stuff coming over and working every now and then with American talents. And
yeah, and it's nice because I see comments sometimes, and I find people, especially in North America, we tend to be maybe a little more uptight. And like you said, the European artists come and they've got a much more liberal,
like that crap that happened
open-minded
with Carmen a couple weeks ago, right? Or a couple months ago. People got all crazy about Carmen, and it's like, well, some people, what do you expect?
Yeah, but
yeah, that book is the least sexy book I've ever read
exactly.
in my whole life.
And the only reason is when you die, you're in whatever clothes or whatever you're in. She spoilers, she kills herself in the tub, so she was naked. So when she's in the afterlife floating around, she was naked in the tub, so she's floating around kind of naked.
And it's such like a weird way of looking at things too. And I agree. And I have like that first cover, the one with like her butt cheeks out. I have that framed on my wall. My kids don't even question it. They don't even think about it. Like it's not sexual. No, it's just a body.
There's absolutely nothing sexual from start to finish in that
and
series.
I think I was like raised like that because my dad was a comic book collector. So I think like the earliest like erotic thing I saw was like maybe some heavy metal when I was. So, but even heavy metal was very much like, this is a sexual being. They're going to have sex. And it wasn't like erotic. It wasn't like sexy. It was just like, here's some bush and nipple. Like, you're welcome.
Well, that stuff was all from Europe anyways. I mean, just Americanized or translated to English. So, yeah. That's where any of that influence came through, was with Metal Hurlon and then, heavy metal. And, and it's just grown from there. And I'm happy that it's finally happening because I've been telling people for years to check out European comics. So I'm glad they're breaking in over here and just translating them and stuff and releasing them finally.
When they translate them right, properly. Because there's been some where I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
But
I could see how maybe Maria Lovett's stuff could be a little hard to translate, right? Because it's like
there was a couple issues of Carmen where I was like, if you had cut like 7 words out of this sentence, it would have been beautiful. But they left so much like sometimes it felt like they just did like Google Translate. Yeah. And I'm like,
directly did it instead of cutting it.
That's what it felt. Yeah, that's what it felt like. It felt like a non-native speaker translated some of the text. And then also maybe it's my age, but some of the font was super small on Carmen, and I had to read it in digital and buy it physical because I had to zoom in. But that's just me. I'm not gonna I did like Carmen though. I'm not gonna hate on it. But yeah.
I'm not gonna gripe on you there because I've brought that up a few times and I get ragged on for bringing that up. So.
I said not me having to zoom all the way in.
It's nice to have someone in my corner on that aspect for a change.
Oh, my eyes are shit too. That's why that's why I read trades, man. I can hold them right up where I need, where I can see.
Because I thought I was tripping the first time I read Carmen. I said, "Is it? Maybe it's me." Like, and I like put my face like all the way in the comic, and I'm like, "No, this can't be me." And I had to go ahead and buy it on Comixology so I could zoom all the way
Zoom
in.
Maybe that's why they do it on purpose, to get that double dip, you know.
For sure.
That's their strategy. Let's put the writing small, then they'll buy it digitally as well, and we'll get extra money.
It's probably exactly it. Everybody's talking about it. Maybe it's you. Maybe you have bad eyes. Oh, okay. They play on your insecurities.
There's a gift certificate at the end for the eye doctors, you know. 20% off at
because I would use it too. Like, maybe it is my eyes.
Yeah, I need to go see an eye doctor as well. So, Johnny, what's your next one?
My next one is probably one of the most misunderstood books out there. I hear this get called smut all the time. It completely is not. It is hypersexual, but it is probably one of the most adorable things you'll ever read. This, of course, is Sunstone, written and here, I got the credits right here. Most of it is done by Stepan Sayek. He created it. He does the art for it. He writes it. He does the cover art. But it is lettered by Betsy Goña, and Teresa Ramos does the design and layout. And this book is a really, really cute love story about Lisa and Anne, or Allie. Lisa and Allison, who is so adorable, the redhead. She is my favorite, but because she's such a dipshit. But basically, one is a dom and one is a sub, and neither of them have the what's the courage to actually really go out and try to find and participate in BDSM activities. They both really want to, but they just play around online until finally the two of them say, "Hey, let's meet." And they do, and they have an absolutely wonderful time together, and they really kind of become buddies in a way. And this first book kind of leaves off in a neat way where, they've met each other and they've had a good time, but can they make a relationship out of it is the big question you kind of get left at the end of the first book. And I thought that was such a neat way to take this, because like there is some latex, there's collars, there's all the stuff you'd expect, but he kind of shies away whenever it gets to the point where something is supposed to happen. And a lot of the really, really sexual stuff is played up for the humor in the book, which, like I said, Allie is kind of really a dork. So she is utterly hilarious in those scenes when like they are being kinky. And it just really plays to just how adorable and cute the book is, even though it is his art is incredible. Both the way he draws both the female leads is very attractive. One's a kind of librarian brunette with glasses. The other one's short red hair. So, yeah, it's hot, but at the same time, it doesn't go too far to the point where it's gross or wrong or anything. It's almost a rom-com in a way. That's the perfect way I could put it. It's a romance comedy more than it's anything else, which is incredible, because I never thought I'd be a fan of a rom-com comic as much as I am a Sunstone.
Out of all the books we have, I think this is probably the one that could fall into the romance category the most. Out of all the titles
maybe the only one, really.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of nudity and quite not overly graphic, but it toes that line. But man, it's so innocent. Like with all the nudity in it, it's still, I don't feel at all like this book. Like when I read it, I almost forget there's nudity in it. So much like how charming and innocent this book is, and how it just really plays on the relationship. And they just happen to be into like S&M or BDSM, like it's like I was saying before the show, it makes me think so much. It gives off vibes of Strangers in Paradise for me. Like it plays so much more on their relationship, and it just happens to be that they met through a sexual context. But that becomes almost completely irrelevant. It really focuses in on them as two individuals that are finding each other and falling in love. And I mean, it was a great read. I wasn't expecting that at all because of the package it's delivered in, right? It's a little bit misleading, but it's a pleasant surprise. It was really, really, really surprised me, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really appreciated how they leaned into their insecurities because it is both a brand new world for both of them. And I did think I really thought it was gonna go just straight full on because I hadn't read it before. So I'm like, oh, they're about to do some stuff, and then it's kind of like you would say they edged on the precipice of orgasm, and then they were like, no, you guys don't get to see this. You know what an orgasm looks like. And so that like happens every single sex scene, and I was like, okay, you could show us one time, but they didn't. And so, but I really liked that. It was super cute. I loved both of them. I like wrote down the name of the like the spinoff, the fantasy dungeon, or what was it, like Warcraft Dungeons and Dragons, the one his wife did, based on the characters. Blood something.
Yeah, the something world. Yeah, I got to get that too. Yeah, Linda is amazing. She draws exactly like him.
She does a spin-off of it, and it's like them playing the video game. And I'm like, that's so cute. I love you guys. I want this to go on forever. But also it was like, after a couple volumes, I don't feel like I was the intended audience with that because, romance and stuff it's cute the first couple times, but like you're gonna do it for 2-3 volumes. I'm cool on it, but I really did like them in the first volume and the second one. I thought they were super cute. It surprised me how much I liked it because especially once they went in the direction they went, and then it was like full on rom-com. Like I cringed when they cringed. I was like, oh, this is awkward for sure. And I thought that was like so cute. And but like overall, like I really liked it. I was surprised how much I liked it.
Yeah, this the exact same thing for me. And it's just funny, like as you're reading it, they get to it pretty quick. Why the book is called Sunstone is because it's their safe word. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's why it's titled Sunstone. It ends up being their safe word. So I thought that was kind of cute too. They named the book.
And then she didn't use it. How cute.
They never use it so far anyway. They haven't, but yeah.
So cute. Yeah. Even like the custom, like her nervously buying everything. I was like, this is the cutest thing I've ever. And like, why is this so cute? You guys are about to abuse each other, but it's so cute.
And it's actually a little bit educational because I know very little about the S&M scenes. And, they let you have terms. Like, they even refer to themselves as sex nerds in the book.
Which was also cute.
Yeah. Like people, S&M people are just another form of geekery, right? It's just, we're sex nerds. We're just into this, and we take it to another extreme where we buy all this stuff and we collect it, and it's...
That what, now that you say that, I really do appreciate like the terminology, like very much straightforward, like this is what it is, this is what it isn't. And I really do appreciate that because it's not a scene necessarily that I'm in, but I could see like where it was like, oh, this isn't taboo, this is just, it's not about the dark side necessarily, it's just like, this is just what we're into. And I was like, okay, cool guys, cool, let's hang out.
And just like in any relationship, like two people, there's always going to be one person that's more assertive and dominant, and there's always going to be one that's like how many times do you get into the argument where you're like, oh, pick a movie. Oh, no, you pick. And then it just frustrates you because, like, for once, I want you to pick something. Just tell me what you want. And you get into an argument because one person.
So you put on 13 going on 30. I get it. My husband loves that.
wants to be 30, flirty, and
30,
thriving.
flirty, and thriving.
Yep.
You're my favorite person now. It's like, why do you watch that movie so much? Because I always wanted to be 30, flirty, and thriving.
I've been a huge fan of his art since I saw it in a book called Artifacts. And one of my favorite things about this is he shows all his different styles, because he goes from being like photorealistic to almost having this kind of fantasy to almost a cartoonish style, depending on the mood of the scene. And I really enjoy just the variety that he kind of just shows, because I it's neat, because a lot of people just try to keep a book to one style.
Even in the end content, I loved all of that. All of the end content, all of his little like writings and drawings and everything, what inspired him, like that was so cute. It was just such a cute book.
Yeah, I loved it. Like I told Pat, I was like, I think she's not into that as much. And I was like, I think you'll enjoy this. I think it'll maybe be a good bridge to get into other more
BDSM.
Hey, man, look, I'll try anything once, man. I'll give it a go.
It's a little anniversary gift.
Yeah, well, we did that. We just had our anniversary.
That's why I said.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to go get another flower and 4 leaves added to the tattoo.
Something old, something
Monday.
new,
yeah,
something borrowed.
Monday. Yeah.
How long have you guys been together?
16. Married for 15 and together for 16.
That's cute.
Well, they're adorable. Yeah, one of my favorite couples I've ever seen.
She's actually reading the Eddie Gwynn book. She's really into horror. So.
Oh, Ed Gein.
Yeah, Ed Gein.
Listen, it was so good. Listen, I'm sorry. I could talk about that book forever because it was so well done. Like, because it's a really easy to cross over into like shock value. And the way that they walked across that line was so well done in that one. So well done.
Because she started it was it last night or the night before? So we're laying in bed and I look over and I was like, so how do you find it? She's like, that guy's fucking crazy.
I'll find like the worst page and show my husband. I'll be like, look at this. You see this shit? And he's like, you bought it.
Does Eric Powell draw the nipple belt? I need to know, is the nipple belt in there?
Listen, there's a lot of stuff in there, but it's tastefully done. Like when I tell you, because I felt like it could have like really gone. This is not as sexual as some of the other stuff we've talked about. For some of you, it might be the most sexual thing we've talked about, but depending. But
let's unfollow those people.
Depending on how close you are to your mom. But this, listen, Ed, this book is. He really like walked that line really well, where he could have easily done like super gross, super shock value, super like in your face stuff. There is a lot of nipples, there's a lot of skin, there's a lot of skin wearing, there's a lot of grave robbing, but it's done like, to me it feels tastefully done. Like it's just enough to tell his story without being like gross out hard.
Nice.
Without just going for the shock.
So maybe it's not as kink as some of you guys want. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Sergio.
Well, back to Sunstone.
BDSM, same thing.
From like the cutest book in the world to the most.
The other cutest book in the world.
It's about a boy and his mom. He really liked it. Ed liked his mom a lot.
They were
no, but like you said, the art style that slightly changes as he goes. I thought it was really well done because I noticed it took me a little while, and I'm like, it seems like then I turned some pages back, and I was like, oh yeah, he did change the art style as he went. But I thought it transitioned well from one style to the next. That it was subtle. You didn't really notice it that much. It was really well done.
Not at all, yeah. I really
the The cool thing is, it was never meant to actually be a graphic novel or a comic book. It was just a bunch of shorts that he was doing on his DeviantArt. And I think Matt Hawkins at Top Cow saw it and was like, "Dude, this is so good. We have to put this out." And like, he's like, "Well, I was never gonna like do it as a full narrative or anything." And now it's become this like cultural hit. I mean, like a lot of people who have anybody I know who's read it actually really, really enjoys and loves the book. So, and I really hope we get some more fans for it tonight.
Well,
because
I think when I went online, I saw that he's actually working on volume 8 right now of Sunstone.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's up to 8 volumes. That's insane. So, yeah.
I think I was first introduced to his work from Harley.
Harleen, yeah.
Harleen.
Yeah, Pat loved that. So that's why I'm thinking she'll probably like this book too. Because
you think it has a lot of the same themes?
But maybe not the same themes, but the art, you know?
No, I really enjoyed it.
Harleen has got more of a codependent relationship, but yeah, that was definitely violent. I mean,
well, maybe she was playing. She was RPing.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have been influences. Maybe he went to the darker side of it in that one.
Just without the nipples out.
Yeah.
If you want to check out a book of his, it has nothing to do with kinky or sex or anything. Check out Death Vigil by him. It's an action horror comic about like these Grim Reaper type people who fight like these necromancers. It's so badass, dude. I really highly recommend Death Vigil for anybody that likes his art.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Yeah, like anyone, like I said, like I get. It's such a fun, charming little book. It's adorable. You fall in love with the characters in this. Like as they fall in love with each other, you fall in love with them as characters. It's almost like you're following them on the journey.
Even if you're not, even if you're not into that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's so sweet. It's so sweet, and the nervousness it's so good.
He captures it perfectly. So I'm thinking his wife must have worked on this with him a lot. And he doesn't give her any credit in it.
Well, it's hard to tell. They draw so much alike. She could have drew the whole thing for him and you wouldn't tell. I mean, like, I can't tell their art apart.
Maybe it's her book.
Yeah, pay rates aren't the same for women and men. So it's her book. She just slapped his name to get a bigger paycheck, right?
On to volume 8.
Isn't that an issue, right? So, yeah. Are pay rates the same for women and men in comics? Is that an issue? Anyway, that's another show.
That's another show.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show. So we won't start that here right now.
You're like, speaking of women, these butt plugs.
You brought them up, Joe. You gotta wear them.
You guys brought up the furries. Unnatural, I guess you could say.
You picked it. You picked that book. Like you brought that up.
I thought it fit in the theme.
We didn't know if you were more a curly tail or a furry tail. We weren't sure. If you had to pick one.
A little non-furry tail is kind of cute, like in Black Hole, you know? Like I thought that little tail was kind of cute.
Oh man, yeah. Talk about the pigtail.
Yeah. So what? So are we gonna move on to the next book?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's segue to it anyways, kinda.
If we're talking about tails, I might as well go with Black Hole.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was a horrible segue, but whatever. We're going with it. So this is a book by Charles Burns. It debuted in, I believe, 95 and wrapped up in 2004.
Which is crazy when you think about it, because it's only 12 chapters.
Yeah, and you can get the collected edition now anywhere, hardcover. It's a beautiful black and white book. The art is awesome. And basically it follows the story of a bunch of teenagers. And there's like a sort of STD disease that mutates these people when they catch it. And they catch it through having sex with one another. And the story evolves from there. It follows the three main characters that it follows is a girl named Chris, a boy who's obsessed with Chris named Keith, and a girl who kind of saves Keith from himself, Eliza. And
She has
it
a
follows.
tail.
Yeah, she's the one who has the cute little tail. And, and then the part.
Go ahead. I'm gonna stop. She got a cute little tail though, guys.
Yeah, she does. It gets more cute towards the end when she's sitting there and it wags in the dirt there and it makes like a snow angel type thing in the dirt.
Furry confirmed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great book. It follows it's actually it spans quite a bit of time. Like it follows maybe a couple years of their high school. Like anyway, it goes through summer and comes back to beginning of school, and it follows kind of the journey, the angst of teenagers and relationships, and the pressures of beginning to be sexual as a teenager. It also covers back when 95. So this is about when I was wrapping up high school, and the epidemic of sexually transmitted diseases became an issue, and like, should they put condoms in the washrooms in high schools became a topic that was heavily debated. And I find this book kind of explores a lot of those issues and definitely reflects well the 90s and teenage sex and the complications and maybe the hardships and the insecurities, the fears that people have, insecurities of their body and confidence and pressures. And anyway, it dives into all this stuff. Anyone who's been a teenager will read this and you could get all these themes from it and you'll relate to it. And it's a well-written book. It's a beautiful book. The art is amazing. It's black and white. Charles Burns does a fantastic job with this book. There's definitely body horror elements because from when they get to sexually transmitted diseases, it kind of mutates their bodies. They all have different little mutations that come. Some are more hideous, some are more cute, as we've discussed.
The little tail.
Yeah, the little tail. So it's
wagging in the dirt.
Yeah. And wagging in the dirt, yeah. And it also discussed like the stigma of STDs, of how people are treated once they catch it, and the reputation that you can get if, especially at a young age like that, when you're less educated, you don't understand it as much. It covers all these themes, and I think it's a wonderful read. This book was I picked this for tonight's show because I asked Elle what some of her favorite books were, and this was on her list, and I've always wanted to read it.
Absolutely.
So I decided we'll go with this one because I've been wanting to read it, and great recommendation for the show. So What do you guys think?
Well, this is why she's my favorite guest for we've had so far, because I've been trying to get you guys to read this kind of stuff forever. Like this is the kind of stuff I've wanted to push on people. The really kind of pretentious indie stuff from the 90s, like the Chester Brown, the Daniel Clowes, the Charles Burns stuff. Like, it's so important and so many kids don't know it. And like you said, like this book, it is basically like if you mix Twin Peaks with the movie The River's Edge, and instead of making it about drug epidemic, it's about sexually transmitted diseases and just the curiousness and the nervousness of early sexual encounters, because it captures that better than it captures probably the STD thing. And I also really like the kind of odd hallucinations that particularly Keith has. There's a lot of really surreal moments with him.
Yeah.
A lot of really kind of fever dream-esque elements, and it's all rendered so beautifully because he's got this really absolute style, almost like Junji Ito, where his whites are just pure snow and his blacks are as dark as midnight. And it just the pages just glow at you from this like just negative and positive light. You know what I mean? It's one of the most interesting black and white things you can stare at, in my opinion.
And I think
I definitely agree with that.
Like in this book, like you said, like the David Lynch aspects, the surreal aspects, I think it just hammers home when you first start to be sexually active, the awkwardness, the weirdness that comes with it, the uncertainty, and you're in like this such an uncomfortable place that you're not used to. And I think adding that into the book just accentuates that. It nails it home even more. Like, as I was reading this, like you said, it made me think of Lynch. Like, I couldn't stop, like, kind of like a Naked Lunch or a Cronenberg movie. Like, just how just the weirdness sometimes of when you first start to like experiment and try things. You get in that weird mind space where you're not sure of anything.
You're awkward
and you're confused. And there's just so much uncertainty and so much new weird things going on with your body, with like other people's bodies, like hair growing. You can't control certain aspects, it definitely touches on all that, I found, and maybe not in a literal way, but in its themes, it definitely touches on them.
Oh yeah, because book. Even Charles Burns I think that's what makes it kind of timeless, is that you could take it literal. There's there's a disease going around the teens and this and this, or you could take it metaphorical, which Charles Burns has also touched on. Like, you can take it either way. And I think in saying that, you're making it timeless, because I didn't necessarily grow up in a time where STDs were a worry when I was in high school. So I took it the very first time I read it, I took it more metaphorical, like, oh, she's not comfortable in her skin, she's shedding. Like, she's not doing this, it's this. And so, but the more I've read it, the more I'm like, oh no, like, you could take this literal, like, no, kids are gross. Or you can like take it like, and there's so many ways you could take it. And I think that Charles Burns, and then in him writing it over 10 years, like a decade, and you're going into a new era, like 1995 to 2004, 5 is like such a different time that the evolution of his work even is like, you could tell in the writing and the art and stuff. And I just feel like it's such an important story. And I know some parents might not be like super comfortable with their kids reading it, because they might look at it and be like, there's nudity, there's vulgarness to it. But like, for me, like, none of that stuff is off limits to my kids. And so I think it's such an important story. Like, it's, even with all of the, murder and stuff like that, like, it's still like solid. It's solid coming of age.
Yeah.
It's solid exploring your sexuality. Like, it's a solid story. And that's what I've always appreciated about it.
Yeah, it covers a lot of themes. Like, also the girl that's the Eliza, like, kind of the abuse and the, where she's just in a bad spot and she stays there because she has no other options, right? And like you said, like, this book, depending on how your high school or your teenage years went, this book can come off so many different ways for different people, depending on what your teenage experience was. You'll probably get something different from this. Each person will get something different based on what they lived through their teenage years. Like, it touches on so many different aspects. That's what I really enjoyed about this book. And like, it touches on drugs too. Like at the party, they're drinking and they're kind of drunk the first time, like Chris and I can't remember the other character's name, have sex.
A lot of pot smoking going on.
Yeah, drinking, and they have sex, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know what came over me, like the lust, and I didn't even use a condom. How stupid!" Right? And like, it touches on that too, and like teenage drinking.
Even to go against that, though, I was like super. I don't want to say I was a prude, but I was like very much straight laced in high school. Didn't drink, didn't do drugs. I had a boyfriend. I might have had relations with him, unfortunately, but like but it was very much like straight laced. I never went to parties. I was a straight A student. And just the fact that you could literally come from any walk of high school life and relate to the story.
The story, yeah, is
so good. It's because what you might identify in the story is not what I'm going to identify with the story.
Exactly.
And that's such like a dope way. Like, it's the writing phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, I feel exactly the same way. about this
Because
book.
that was scary.
Yeah, it's a terrifying
So
book.
the diseases, I was like, nah, y'all about to get all these STDs. Y'all about to die.
Oh, think about how bad it was when me and Joey were going to high school, man. Yeah, I'm
back
still
in the
afraid.
40s.
I'm
I'm just
40.
kidding.
I'm a 40-year-old bachelor, and I still bag it every single time, man.
As you should. So I stood back.
Brown
Yeah.
paper, damn it.
Brown paper bagging it. I get it. He said, it might come through, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I don't know what the percentage of how effective it would be with a paper bag, but because I think a normal condom's like 99%, so that paper bag might only
89%. I'm just
wow, that's generous. I was gonna be like, maybe 10.
sometimes you gotta make your own numbers up.
Sometimes they use a Snickers wrapper, damn it, all right?
Just, the fun size.
Hey,
No, they do the double packs now.
Don't
They
get
do
the
the double
deal on
packs.
me, man.
He said it's a share size.
Like the little Halloween ones there, the little
No,
itsy
that's
bitsy
fun.
Halloween packs.
That's fun size. Share size is
that's fun
ample
size? Okay.
enough for more
Yeah.
than one.
But
You're welcome.
one of
that's the
the
2-packs.
things about the
Two
crudity
packs.
that you mentioned that's sad to me is that it would keep parents from letting their kids read it. And I think that this would be important to let a lot of teenagers read because, like Joe said, anybody can get what they want to. There's a lot of different things you can drive out of it, but all of it's positive. All of it is going to teach you about how to be a smarter younger adult or young adult, and that's one of the powerful things about this book. And I think that is why it's always stayed, at that god tier pretentious indie level that it's at. Highly critically rated,
Deservedly,
even though,
in my opinion.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not bashing it when I call it that, but I love pretentious shit. You know what I mean? Like I have all Daniel Clowes books too. So.
Oh, you want to do? No, I'm just kidding. No, this book is phenomenal. And I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be pretentious. I covered it in one of my master classes in creative writing. So, when I say it's pretentious, it was pretentious how I came into it. But I also feel like, as just a person, I wish I had read it when I was younger, because it's so important and it's so relatable on so many different levels. And it's just, he really, and I've read some interviews with him and he's very demure about it. And I'm just like, I don't think you even realize you fucking knocked it out the park with this.
Hold up the book again, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, you'll probably see that's at a majority of the comic book shops you'll go to. It'll be in the indie section probably. I think that's the inside picture of issue 12. Each issue is really neat. It kind of has a yearbook drawing of one of the characters like that, and it also has the drawing of them mutated. And yeah, dude, like I said, look at the work on that art.
Oh, there's he rips her tail off by accident.
Uh-oh, that's your kink.
The little tip.
It opened right to it.
Yeah, tip. I have it bookmarked.
You see that cover and that smile smiling at you? Pick this up.
Did I get it? Look at that. Look how cute that is.
Good.
See that little tail?
But I'm a big fan of black and white comics. I know a lot of people aren't, but I'm I've loved the negative. And so this is one of my favorite for sure.
Yeah, Joe told me that there's some bougie ass kids running around calling themselves comic book fans that won't read black and white comics. There's something wrong with them. Back when me and Joe were coming up, man, you didn't read black and white comics. You didn't read the good comics then, man. Anything indie was black and white. You were maybe Dark Horse or Image would be putting out colored comics, but
I think what's the one? I don't even go ahead and talk because I don't want to sound ignorant and not say it fast enough.
See, this is the In the Dirt, man.
Yeah, there you go. You guys.
Dirt.
I know where that's
unlocked. Go full screen, because if you guys want to know
what
2022 anniversary gift. Pat.
Yeah. I think
Her little tail.
Were you a fan of the MTV cartoon The Head? Because remember, his girlfriend had a cute little tail like that. I think
The
Joe.
head. I
Yeah,
don't
the
know, man.
head.
That
Remember
sounds
the guy
familiar.
had the alien living in his head, a little purple alien that'd pop out and fuck with him.
That sounds familiar.
That does
And I'm
sound
getting
familiar.
old. My
He's
memory's
lying.
going.
He doesn't want to admit that that's where his tail fascination came from.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I
cruising
remember
right
Eon
along.
Flux, but from MTV
Oh,
Late
listen.
Night.
One of my favorites.
The Head was actually part of the same series that the Max was
Yeah.
on. It was MTV's Oddities. It was the other show. Like
Okay, I
didn't
see it
it
now.
nowhere
That does
near,
look familiar. Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen some episodes of it.
it was nowhere near as good as the Max. But yeah, we're gonna hop on to my last one, and this is, of course, Vault Comics is A Money Shot. This is written by. Let me pull it up. Where is it at? Let me get my screenshot up. Okay, this is written by Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty, drawn by Rebecca Isaacs. And oh my God, the art in this book is just so much fun and so visceral. I love it. It is colored by Kurt Michael Russell. And how cool is that? That kid is named Kurt Russell. Like, I'm jealous. And then it's lettered by Crank. I don't know if that's old school biker Crank or crystal meth, but yeah, like the drug colors.
Just to shoot in real fast, my daughter, who's gonna be 10 next week, she asked me last week. She was reading some book and she goes, "What kind of name is Kurt?" So just to.
I love kids when they say weird shit like that.
It's just funny you said that because she legit asked me. I promised what kind of name is Kurt? And I didn't feel like explaining. I said go play.
Go
on Roblox. Go play your little game. I don't even feel like
it. Stop asking mom questions. Just.
Back to Money Shot. This book is about a group of scientists who kind of create this teleportation device, I guess is the easiest way to put it. And they don't want to have it used for military purposes. So they're trying to find a way to get it funded so they can go and explore. So one night, the main chick, Chris, she is watching an adult program. It's not the right one, and it's a Godzilla with a schlong and an old person having a good time. And she's like, wow, people actually watch this. And she reads the comments and she has a good time with it. So she decides that, like, hey, let's make space porn and use this thing to jump around and we can film it and beam it back to Earth. And that's kind of the setup to this. But we find our intrepid, the triple X explorers from Earth. They are marooned on this kind of fish people planet, and they are captured. Meanwhile, they're trying to do their thing. Like the book starts, they're in this kind of caravan type thing being brought to this Coliseum. And the book literally starts with the phrase, "Fuck me, fish man." So, and the explorers and this fish dude, they totally get it on, and it's hilarious. But then you find out that, like, he sells them out after he gets his water from them, and they have to fight in this gladiatorial thing. Meanwhile, there's like this war-mongering daughter, and she wants to total control. But you meet this elder, and like he hasn't been able to get it up since the warmongers took over. So he's got this little tiny chunk, and he's just massive balls that he floats on, and that's gonna lead
that's
to something.
not average size. I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
You better make an appointment for your husband if you think that's average.
Oh man, when they get
at the doctors, because you don't want him being on like a National Geographic cover like some of those Indian people.
Like we've been together 11 years, so that's like, oh, maybe it's just something I'm a cut. No, I'm just kidding. That's not. Let me not call him out. I don't know. He's listening. I'm just kidding.
be catching the replay, being like, "Whoa, what'd you say?" Dude, when we get to the part where they're fighting the killer whale monster, and like he's using his big old balls,
like smack him, and he's got the fucking metal spikes attached, like strapped to them. This book was ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It is a long joke that leads to a great splooge punchline that just sets up. It's like, you know, you have that friend that tells those really long jokes, but they do pay off at the end. That's what this book kind of is. While at the same time being somewhat of a spoof of Black Science. Did it remind you of Black Science by Rick Remender? It really kind of did, because even the first arc of that was about fish people too. So I was just like, I wonder if Tim was kind of giving Rick a little rub, because I think they're buddies. So.
Oh, literally.
But yeah, my favorite character is the scientist who likes to call himself Supermassive Black Hole. And my favorite scene is when they're getting used to being porn stars. He's laying in bed after having a sexual relation with one of the his buddies, and he's telling them, "You know what, man? You take a joke like you take a dick, like a little bitch." The whole book is just full.
You said that's your favorite because he is.
He steals the show. He is hilarious the entire series. Oh man!
Because if you guys don't know, like the setup is like, oh, let's all sleep together to make sure we all vibe and everything's chill, and it's like everybody, let's all of us.
Yeah, that's part of like the research to make sure. Yeah, so they don't go in cold and it's awkward. But man, this book
not cold.
This book is so ridiculous that it's I love how ridiculous it is. Like there's so many little hints at this and that. Like obviously, you know, the big joke about the original Star Trek was Captain Kirk sleeping with all these alien women, and they definitely play off that in this because they're gonna be having sex with all these different alien species, so there's definitely a play off that. Even the machine, you know, like beam me up, Scotty. The machine beams them places. You know, the fucking machine beams them places. Yeah, I loved it. Like you say, and the main doctor who starts all of it, she's a little horn dog, man. Like right away, like she already knows. Like she doesn't need to do the research because she already watches a bunch of porn. Yeah. She's into it. She needs, but you know, that's the way she unwinds. She relaxes. You know, everyone has their own way, and you know,
I think it says a lot about society too. That like government funding is not enough. Like OnlyFans is the only way to go, basically, because that's basically what it is.
Well, I think the writer Sarah Beatty, she has an OnlyFans page.
What's on it?
She's crazy too.
I don't know what's on it. I didn't subscribe.
She's a comedian.
I'm just assuming.
She got kicked off of Saturday Night Live, I believe. But if she has an OnlyFans, I bet you it's a bunch of weird sex jokes and stuff played out. And...
Have you read her Twitter comments and stuff?
It could be either way.
Like I mean,
I've never been on the site, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's doing all right for herself because now she's working on Superman versus Lobo with Tim Selly. So, I mean,
are they gonna fuck?
Man, let's not start any rumors here.
Well, Merca is on it too.
DC
so.
right there.
We've already been through this.
It could be.
We've already been through this on another episode, I believe, or was it pre-show? I don't remember. So
I want to see Lobo tell Superman he takes a dick like a bitch too, man. That'd be hilarious, dude. Like that would totally get me into DC. Like honestly.
But this book, Money Shot definitely does. It does horny well, right? Like they definitely hit the nail on the head with like the way they make like. I don't know. I think this book probably did it the best.
You really be saying like the best lines. You really just say the best lines, and I don't even think you realize you do it.
Hit the nail on the head?
Yeah, it's just the timing is impeccable.
Phrasing. Yeah, you got.
But yeah, man, this This book does it well, and I love a good book that definitely incorporates humor really well. And man, they hit.
I think Money Shot is just fun. Like, it's one of my favorite. Like, just straight up, I'm having a good time. Like, I don't have to think about it. It's ridiculous. It doesn't have to make sense. It's just a lot of fun, and I really like that about Money Shot.
Yeah, I love that they were able to liberate the sexually repressed fish people and got them all horny and made the land wet again. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
It was just,
I get that.
It's perfectly done. And
what's it called? The dry reef?
The dry gulch or something like that, right?
Yeah, they call it the dry.
Dirty name, yeah.
Everything's like a pun in this book. Like, I mean,
there's no
shot, yeah.
There's nothing off limits in this book, which is great. And I think the reason why they can get away with it all, it's because it's set in it's a comedy, right? It's a dirty
For
comedy.
Sure.
That's what it is.
I don't take it as anything more than a joke. And even when it gets a little serious, the next panel, no, I'm not taking you seriously.
Yeah, it got serious for a minute, and the next thing I know, a fish guy was using his balls to beat up a killer whale. So I was just like,
and that happens in sea life sometimes, but
I've seen that on Shark Week.
Does that happen on Shark Week? That's on Discovery.
Well, if you're getting attacked by a shark, if you want to survive, swing your balls at it.
Slap them with your balls.
Yeah, they'll just leave you alone. Sharks aren't into that. They don't like getting teabagged. Yeah, sharks don't like being teabagged.
Wait a minute, because I have a funny story about teabagging. I didn't know what that meant when I was in high school. And this guy was like, he basically said he was going to teabag me, and I didn't know what it meant. And I said, then do it. And everybody around me was like, no, no. And I was like, what does it mean? I don't know. Because I had moved from like Orange County, California to Atlanta. And so everybody was like, no, don't say yes. And I'm like, I don't know what it means. So I said, do it then.
I thought you played video games.
Well, I was that was like in like 2004, 2000. Okay. Yeah.
Because if you played video games and you've played Halo, then you should know what teabagging is.
I can't do that with y'all because I'm a PlayStation for life. Sorry.
There you go.
Sorry guys.
Anyways, even though I love Xbox, Halo sucks, man.
I think there's Halo.
Because the teabagging got really popular from that game, right? So
were you doing it before that?
The guy doesn't even have a mouth. Like, how does that work?
You just kind of sit there and take it, right? You bend down.
Because there's a crouch. I think it was one of the first games that had the crouch buttons. The crouch buttons.
Take it.
So they would just stand over people after killing them and then do the crouch button over them. And it'd be like teabagging the guy that they just killed. And that was kind of like the insult. Yeah, that was kind of like you kill someone and
from where I'm from, it was like a basketball, like when you jump over somebody and put your crotch on their mouth.
Did you play basketball? Way different than I have. Like I never.
That wasn't a movie you did.
More often. Man, I should join the basketball team.
That's how Matt plays basketball. I don't play basketball that way.
So somebody was like, "I'm gonna teabag you," and I said, "Do it," because I just thought it was like somebody was trying me. So I'm like, "Okay, do it." And everyone's like, "No, don't say that."
So, if you could be one of the triple explorers of from Earth, would you guys be one? I probably would, at least for one trip. It sounds fun.
It sounds fun, and I'm not even. And you know what? I say that happily because it sounds like a good time. Everybody's having a good. There's no bad vibes. It's all consensual. It's weird, but it's fun.
Weird is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. We know Tail.
Yeah, especially if they got cute little tails. Maybe we're sitting over.
Sign me up.
My Little Pony gland.
Especially if there's some dirt involved.
Yeah, like that daughter scene was hot. She had how many tails? Quite a few. She had like.
What are we talking about?
Tentacles.
Yeah, well, tails, tentacles, same difference. No, they're like same thing. She had quite a few. So.
How many tentacles do you prefer?
He wants the overfiend, man.
The more, yeah.
He said an octopus, a tenopus.
Tentopus. Oh shit. No, but this was a book I didn't pick up originally. It was like on the cusp of picking up. Like I wasn't sure if I wanted it. But now after reading it, I'm gonna have to start reading. I'm gonna pick up the other trades and read it because I had a blast.
Fun.
Yeah, I had a blast reading it. Like you say, if you want a good, fun read,
the black
just to change your mood.
so good.
Oh, that's what I was gonna bring up. The black bags are real black bags. Like, there's a reason why there is a black bag on these ones because
the covers they go Tim Vigil style. There's like full,
full on, not just like, oh, here's a nipple. No, there's penetration.
Full on, right there.
Tara,
but I got I got
sea life drawings, some shrimp drawings, maybe.
I remember because this came out when I was still getting when I first started getting review copies from Adrian back when Michael thought I was lying about getting Vault Vault review copies. And I remember I didn't expect it to be as bad as not as bad, but like I didn't expect what I got out of it. It was almost like picking up one of Maria Lovett's boom books. I was just like, whoa, because like I was used to reading stuff like Zojaquan and these Savage Swords and Sarah and the Sacred Stars, and the next thing I know, it's like, hey, fuck me, Fish Man, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
this is
that's what you needed to hear. You said, "Fuck me, Fish Daddy."
Fish Daddy.
Money Shot is so good. Like Money Shot is, I told you earlier, it's one of the books that got me back into like regularly checking my pull.
Monthly.
Like, oh no, I need this, and it's always been super fun. I think it has a new artist now, can't remember her name quite, but the artist does change at some point, and even her art is a little bit more cute, a little bit more cartoony, but it still fits the story in my opinion. So
as long as they don't change it too drastically, as long as they don't try to go like photorealistic or something.
No. It goes more cutesy, which makes it more jarring because it's like, do I want you to be fucking these weirdos? Like,
well, if they got cute little tails. If
they got cute little tails wagging in in the dirt.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what. I can't wait to see what others.
Leave a little snow angels
in the dirt. Yeah, with her
writing
tail.
his name in the dirt.
With her tail, that's hot. That's
It's a good thing your name is short, so
Damn.
Oh fuck.
They don't have to take up the whole field with it.
Son of a bitch.
So I guess it would be insane in this situation, you know?
Yeah. I don't think I have anything more to say.
You don't want to talk more about your little tails?
Crapola.
When Sid said you was mean, I didn't expect it, man. But wow, that's awesome, though. Good times.
I just want to, on a little aside, the little mishmash you made, the pictures. Listen, did it for me. On par with Money Shot. On par with Sunstone. I showed it to my husband and I was like, look, this weekend or I'm out. 11 years down the drain or I'm out. Because this looks bomb as fuck.
We're losing her.
I'm here. I promise. I'm just saying it looked good.
Yeah. It's a go-to. It's kind of like take
especially
whatever
with the waffle fries. I never even thought to use that.
Because my mom came down. She lives in Prince Edward Island.
Hey, mom.
No, okay. She
Made her
hears
mom.
me say, yeah, she's listened to me say enough stupid shit her whole life that she doesn't need to listen to it on the internet as well. So they didn't bring potatoes, so all I had was waffle fries. And so basically, take any potato, like a hash brown, a tater tot, whatever your favorite is, and just throw it in there.
Because listen, my husband makes like a mash like that, but I never thought to use waffle fries. So when I saw it on yours, I was like, wait a minute. Air fry some waffle fries and then put it in there. That would be so good. Because breakfast is my favorite meal. I could eat breakfast. I'm allergic to eggs, but I still eat them. It is what it is. We've all accepted it.
So you said potatoes, and I'm hungry.
Yeah, we have breakfast for supper often because it's awesome.
I can't eat breakfast in the morning time, man. It makes me sick. But like at dinner time, I love it, man.
Oh, my kids, they don't even know breakfast is breakfast because
that's food, dog.
my son, my middle son is like, I want hot dogs and eggs. And he's talking about sausage and eggs. And that's what I want for dinner. I'm like, okay, I can make that for dinner. It's say less.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good meal. Love it.
Yeah, Money Shot. It's on its third arc. Like Elle said, there are really, really raunchy covers for this particular arc. It's probably got the best ones so far. If you could get a hold of them, get a hold of them. Some of them are really, really clever, in my opinion, even though being fully pornographic. So yeah, this is good times, man. Like they haven't done that stuff since I was a kid. You know, in the '90s. You know, like Tim Vigil and them guys used to do that. So it's kind of cool to see it back a little bit. And at Vault of all fucking places, you know, like the hippie, you know, SJW label. They got one of the dirtiest books out, and then one of the most fun dirty books out too. So yeah, good on them. And I can't recommend it highly enough. All three arcs are. I've read the first two. I haven't read part 3 yet, but I'm pretty sure it holds up. I don't see this team slipping anytime soon.
Interesting choice there, but go ahead. I'm not going to say anything.
Well, I don't think they've blown their load yet, if you know what I mean. Just play along. Just go ahead.
From The Bachelor. Go ahead. Paper bag bachelor.
The paper bag bachelor. That's a good nickname for me.
It is. You know what? You should go with it. I'm sure you'll get a lot of hits with it.
I don't know about that. You might not want to get the hits from the people that are hitting it.
Some people will hit it. It's not necessarily people you want to, but
yeah,
you know, it's a filter.
I'm pretty sure I could get some good pity out of it. You know what I mean? I know how to strike when the iron's hot. So yeah, but I'm just gonna keep feeding it. Like okay, we covered all the books, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. This was a very sensual, very fun, really kind of learned some things about my friend Joe tonight about that I didn't know. Cute little tails waggling in the dirt. But we were very happy to have Elle here. She was probably our most fun guest, man. I don't think I've laughed this hard in a long time. God,
it was awesome.
And we covered some really fun books. I really hope you guys enjoyed everything we talked about. We covered a lot. And this is Pink Buzz. You know what that means? That means don't stop reading, don't stop supporting awesome music, and don't stop watching that killer horror. All right. Check you later.
Have a great week of reading, people.